Hi everyone, welcome back. Remember how in the previous video we mentioned about written tests as a stage in the hiring process, both on campus and off campus? Well, in this video you will be learning about them in detail. One vivid memory that we all would definitely remember from our school and college times is of writing exams, right? Students usually think that once their college is over, they won't be required to write any more exams. Well, that is not entirely true. While applying for internships or jobs as well, various companies conduct written tests as a part of their hiring process. What is the need of written tests in the hiring process, you might ask? Well, to put it simply, written tests are conducted by companies to establish the level of knowledge of the candidates for the role they have applied to. So, are the written tests conducted only to assess the subject-specific knowledge of the candidates? Well, the answer to that question would be yes and no. We said both because, yes, the companies conduct written tests to evaluate the subject knowledge of the candidate, and no, because apart from the subject-related tests, they also conduct tests to assess various other aspects of the candidates such as their aptitude, behavior, and soft skills. So, based on these factors, the companies usually conduct three types of tests as a part of the hiring process. They are aptitude tests, technical or subject-specific tests, and psychometric tests. Let us understand all these tests one by one in detail. First are aptitude tests. Remember, we studied in Module 1 that aptitude tests are conducted to assess various skills of a candidate that would be required for the internship or job they have applied to, such as perception, reasoning, memory, problem-solving ability, critical thinking, attention to detail, etc. There are various types of aptitude tests that are conducted by companies for recruitment. So, we will look at three main sections of an aptitude test. They are quantitative aptitude, verbal reasoning, logical and analytical reasoning. Quantitative aptitude tests are the tests used to assess the basic numerical abilities of a candidate required for an internship or a job, irrespective of their educational background. They may include questions from various topics such as number system, average, ratio and proportion, percentage, time and distance, permutation and combination, probability, geometry, and algebra. Here are a few examples. Next are verbal reasoning tests. Verbal reasoning tests assess the candidate's reading ability and the level of grammar. These tests are also helpful in evaluating the soft skills of a candidate. The type of questions that may be asked in the verbal reasoning section include spotting errors, sentence improvements, parajumbles, reading comprehension, idioms and phrases, essay writing, etc. Let us see a few examples of verbal reasoning questions. So, we have given three examples here. They are pretty simple to understand and answer if you have a good command on English. So, make sure you brush up your comprehension and grammar skills before you go and sit for such tests. Another type of aptitude tests that are conducted are logical and analytical reasoning tests. These tests are designed to assess a candidate's logical and analytical skills and their ability to interpret patterns and/or the relationship between shapes, alphabets, numbers, people, etc. The types of questions generally asked are coding decoding, relationship-based questions, series, puzzles, cause and effect, direction and ranking, etc. Let us see some examples for logical and analytical reasoning tests. Here are two examples. Pause the screen and try to solve them on your own. Now, let us look at subject-specific written tests. We will look at the subject-specific written tests for two profiles here. First, for the profile of web development, and the other for the profile of graphic design. Let's start with the first one. Now, there may be two types of questions that can come in written tests. One can be objective questions such as MCQs, fill in the blanks, etc. Or you may be given long subjective questions where you are asked to, let's say, write a piece of code. Let's take an example of each. So, here is an example of an MCQ question that may come in the written test. And here is the sample subjective problem statement for the profile of web development. Design a simple blood bank web application. Assume you are designing a real-life system that will be used by real users. The application should contain two types of users, hospitals and receivers. Here are the pages that need to be developed. First, registration pages. There should be different registration pages for hospitals and receivers. Capture receiver's blood group during registration. Second, login pages. Single or different login pages for hospitals and receivers. Third, hospital add blood info page. A hospital, once logged in, should be able to add details of available blood samples along with the type to their bank. Access to this page should be restricted only to hospitals. Fourth, available blood samples page. There should be a page that displays all the available blood samples along with which hospital has them and a request sample button. This page should be accessible to everyone, irrespective of whether the user is logged in or not. After this, the assignment has a section on the expected functionality of this website. So, on click of the request sample button, only receivers should be able to request for blood samples by clicking the request sample button. Make sure that only those receivers who are eligible for the blood sample are allowed to click the button. If the user is not logged in, then he or she should be redirected to the login page. If a user is logged in as a hospital, then the user should not be allowed to request for a blood sample. Second functionality is for the hospital view requests page. Hospitals should be able to see the list of all the receivers who have requested a particular blood group from its blood bank. The next section is on the technologies that can be used to develop this assignment. Please write the front end in HTML, CSS or JavaScript. You may use Bootstrap if you wish. Please write the back end in either Core PHP or PHP Code Igniter framework. Use MySQL as the database. Next, the assignment also details out the evaluation criteria that will be used for evaluating the assignment. So, it says, mainly, we want you to concentrate on the following things. First, neat and simple design. Second, good database architecture. Third, good coding practices, that is, write readable and modular code. And at the end, it gives clear instructions on how this assignment needs to be submitted. Please zip the assignment, upload on Google Drive, and share the publicly accessible Google Drive link only. Please make sure you include the SQL file so that we can replicate your database. So, you see that the assignment details out what exactly the student needs to do. Most companies will send you such clear instructions in the assignment. But if they don't, feel free to reach out to them with any questions that you may have on reading the problem statement. It only goes to demonstrate your seriousness in doing the assignment well. Now, in this assignment that we just looked at, the candidate is being asked to write the code on a laptop, run it, and send the code in a file. But you may be given an assignment which needs to be done on pen and paper. So, Be ready for that if need be. It all depends on the situation and how the company wants to conduct its hiring process. Now, let's look at an assignment question for the second profile. Again, there may be some subjective and some objective questions for this profile as well. We will look at only the subjective question here. We trust you will be able to tackle the objective questions on your own. So, we will look at the assignment for the profile of graphic design. Design one Instagram post on a topical, also known as current trending news. Make this post using a combination of illustration or image and text. You may go through the company's Facebook page or Instagram account to get an idea. So, here we saw the instructions on what needs to be done. Next, it contains the evaluation criteria. The creative will be evaluated on the basis of cleanliness of the design, usage of fonts and colors, originality of the design, creativity, and effective communication or understandability. And at the end, it gives instructions on how this assignment needs to be submitted. You may submit the creatives in the JPEG or PNG format by replying to this email. Please upload the creatives on Google Drive and share the link with us. Also, please make sure the link is open to all so that the evaluators can access the same. So, you see, this assignment also follows the same pattern as was present in the last assignment. Again, the instructions are very clear and there is no way you can go wrong with making it the way they have asked you to. With this, we have seen two samples of problem statements that may be given for subject-specific written tests. Now, let's look at the next type of written tests, which are psychometric tests. The psychometric tests can be conducted across any profile and may be conducted online or offline. These tests are used to assess the behavior and personality of a candidate and their suitability for a particular role. The questions asked in such tests are usually based on assessing your skills of working in a team, handling stressful situations, motivation, problem solving, critical thinking, etc. There is no specific preparation that you can do for these tests, but the best you can do is to read the job description thoroughly while applying to understand the kind of personality that the employer is looking for the role and demonstrate them throughout the various stages of hiring. So, here are a few examples of questions that can be asked in a psychometric test. As you can see, there is no right or wrong answer, but the answer you will give will demonstrate your personality to the hiring manager. Based on your answers, they can then determine whether you will be a right fit for that particular role or not. Now, these days, aptitude tests and subject-specific skill tests that we have looked at earlier have also become a part of psychometric tests. So, don't get confused with the names and the categories. With this, we have understood all the different types of written tests that are conducted during the on-campus and off-campus hiring process. But it is important for you to understand that not all the students from all the profiles will have to appear for all these tests. For example, a person applying for a content writing profile will not be asked questions related to quantitative aptitude, whereas a person applying to financial roles can be asked those questions in the written test. So, in this video, we have understood what is the purpose of written tests in the hiring process and different types of written tests conducted during the on-campus and off-campus hiring process. It is now time to find an interesting fact about written tests conducted during the hiring process. Did you know? The employers are always on the lookout for candidates who are critical thinkers and problem solvers. So, when answering questions or writing answers to such subjective test questions, try to display your ability to think logically and give sound reasoning for why you would like to take a certain approach to solve a certain problem. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. In circumstances where you have less knowledge about the question, showing curiosity and the desire to learn and grow also leaves a positive impression on the employer. With this, we have come to the end of this video. In the next video, we will study about group discussions.